today I'm going to present to you the project Swiss FS-CSC, which I worked on for the last 2 years. The aim of the project was to improve the cyber resilience of the Swiss financial sector. We call it Swiss FS-CSC because in the project we designed and built the Swiss Financial Sector Cybersecurity Center, short Swiss FS-CSC. And before I start talking to you about the project, let me introduce to you the National Cybersecurity Center for which I work, because many of you may not know it. We are the cybersecurity organization of the Swiss Confederation, and our mission is to support businesses, public administration, educational institutions, and the general public in protecting themselves against cyber risks and improving their cybersecurity. And we are also responsible for protecting Swiss critical infrastructures from cyber attacks. So critical infrastructures can be hospitals, can be power stations, can be banks, can be municipalities, and so on. And our tasks also include, you can see it here. Our tasks include also being responsible for the cybersecurity of the Swiss Confederation and being the national contact point for cyber incident reports. So you as a private person or your organization can report cyber incidents on our website, and you will get support and help us improve the national statistics on cyber threats in Switzerland. The NCSC is led by Florian Schütz, which is the Federal Cybersecurity Delegate, my line manager, and also the sponsor of all the projects I manage. The goals of the NCSC are aligned with the National Strategy for the Protection of Switzerland Against Cyber Risks, a very long title, like we like at the Confederation. The short acronym is NCS. And it is a strategy jointly developed by the federal government, the cantons, and the private sector. And we have 6 main strategic goals that you can see here. So the first one is Switzerland has the skill, knowledge, and capabilities to identify and assess cyber risks. It develops effective prevention measures. It can also manage long and cross-sector incidents. Swiss critical infrastructures are resilient to cyber risks. Protecting Switzerland against cyber risks is perceived as a joint task of society, the economy, and the state. And Switzerland is committed to international cooperation to improve cybersecurity and learns from cyber incidents at home and abroad. So you see a very bright spectrum. And the most important for you and the project Swiss FS-CSC is our aim to empower our target groups to enhance their cyber resilience. Since we are paid with tax money, we do not have the means and the legal authority to support and help everyone, person or organization in Switzerland. But among other things, we work in private-public partnerships to improve the cyber resilience of Switzerland as a whole. And now I'll start with the real presentation. Since I knew I was going to speak early afternoon while I was preparing this presentation, I thought about how to make it more appealing and more interesting for those of you who are not project managers. And I was thinking about the nerdy things I like, and then I had an epiphany: Middle Earth. So probably many of you are also watching the new series, The Rings of Power, and getting as frustrated as me with the financial scheme of Amazon of releasing only 1 episode every week, like in the pre-Netflix era. I don't know you, but I'm not used to wait so long anymore. And since the series so far is only 5 episodes long, and we don't know yet exactly what will happen to Galadriel and the other characters, I could not use the series as a red thread for my presentation. So I decided to go back to the classics and to use the Lord of the Rings movies. And I'm sure you're all familiar with them. And by the way, if you haven't watched them for a while, I can really recommend watch them again because they aged very well. And before I start talking to you about Middle-earth and the Swiss financial sector, please note that any resemblance to people or situation is purely coincidental. So, Middle-earth. Middle-earth is kind of an island on which different races live more or less in harmony, and who also trades with foreign races. And similarly, in the financial sector, it's a place where different types of organizations operate. We have banks, we have insurance companies, SICs, authorities, foreign players, and so on. And many of those actors are in competition with each other. Some are close, and some don't speak with each other. But like in Middle-earth, they all have a common enemy, and in our case, it's cyber criminals. And when the Swiss FS-CSC project was just an idea, cybersecurity was not a shared topic. There were some initiatives, but the common practice in the financial sector was to look after yourself. So, in the first movie of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, some wise people become aware that Sauron's power is awakening, and they decide to reunite a great squad with a promising mix of skills. So we have elves with bows, we have dwarves with axes, we have a wizard, some humans, and even hobbits. And similarly, in 2014, the Federal Council appointed the advisory board for the future of the Swiss Financial Center, with the task of assessing the future challenges for the financial sector and submitting recommendations. And cyber was spotted as a major risk for the Swiss financial sector, and the advisory board recommended 2019 that the authorities and financial institutions jointly and rapidly establish an effective crisis management organization against cyber risks. Here below you see two fans, and this is another challenge that back then was important for the financial sector. While some financial sector players, such as the systemic banks, these are UBS, Credit Suisse, PostFinance, Raiffeisen Bank, and ZKB, are considered critical infrastructures and thus can benefit from the support of the NCSC, many are not. And this is, for example, the case, or was the case, for Swiss subsidiaries and branches of foreign banks or small and medium financial institutions. This means that many actors, like here you can see some, could not receive help from the NCSC in case of a major cyber incident. And we call a major cyber incident an incident that would affect part of, or a whole sector and may potentially become a systemic crisis. So a private-public partnerships was needed to improve the cyber resilience of the whole sector. As a result, Federal Councillor Willy Maurer tasked Florian Schütz to start our project, which is officially called Enhancing the Cyber Resilience of the Swiss Financial Market. And the goal, you can see it here, was to create an overarching cyber organization that offers sector-specific services in the areas of cyber threat intelligence, crisis management, incident response for the whole Swiss financial sector. And to be successful, it was decided that from the beginning, all financial sector actors should be included in the project. So we asked the Swiss Bankers Association, the FINMA, the State Secretariat for International Finance, SIX, and the Swiss National Bank to work together on the project. And shortly after, the Association of Foreign Bank and the Swiss Insurance Association joined the project. And all these organizations you can see here on the slide were represented in the steering committee of the project. The project started in June 2020. Beside these 7 organizations and the NCSC, many banks and insurance companies provided staff to work in the project. And this is really something noteworthy because financial organizations are usually competitors and would avoid working together. But they recognized that for cyber resilience, they needed to make an exception and collaborate. they acknowledge that the Swiss financial sector is only as cyber resilient as its weakest link, and that union is strength. And as in Lord of the Rings, collaborating and including all races in the battle against the common evil is the key for success. So let's come to the first phase of the project we did. In the first phase of the project, we worked on drafting this overarching cyber organization, and we tried to answer questions such as what should it exactly do, what is already available in Switzerland and abroad, and we decided that the cyber organization had to be based on a financial sector ISAC. You may not be familiar with ISAC. ISAC stands for Information Sharing Analysis Center, and it is a model that exists in many countries for different sectors. So you can have a health sector ISAC, a energy sector ISAC, or a financial sector ISAC. And these organizations ensure that private organizations and sometimes authorities share information on cyber threats and incidents so that all members can improve their cybersecurity. At the moment in Switzerland, there are not ISACs, not 100% ISACs, but on the ENISA website, you can find an overview of all ISACs in Europe. And I say there are not ISACs yet, because the association we built, we decided that besides the ISAC function, we also needed a further element. It must also assume crisis and incident management functions. In other words, we would not be able to use something that was already existing and tailor it to our needs, but we would do it the Swiss way, so from scratch and better. We are now at the end of the first movie of The Lord of the Rings, and Frodo and Sam can already see where Mordor is, but it takes them a whole second movie to get there. And that's the main theme of The Two Towers, where the Fellowship of the Ring moves mountains to get to its goal. And the same was the case for the conceptualization of the organization we were building. So if in 42nd phase, we tackle the questions such as what should it look like, which services and products we wanted to offer, how would it be financed, and how could we make it sure that it would attract the organizations we intended to serve, and who did we intend to serve. And this was a particularly important question because while the final goal was to cover the whole financial sector, we had to decide with whom to start. And we decided that at the beginning, the membership would be open to all banks, insurance companies, security firms, and financial market infrastructures headquartered in Switzerland and licensed by FINMA, plus also Swiss subsidiaries and branches of foreign banks licensed by FINMA could be part of this organization. We come now to the third movie of The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. And in this movie, things get very intense, but success is still uncertain till the end. And this was how we were feeling earlier this year. We had decided that the organization would be an association, Verein in German, and we had agreed on its structures and services. So now it was time to found it. But we weren't sure yet that we would receive a positive response from the financial sector. So while preparing all official and legal documents to set up the organization, we also organized many public relation activities to get the attention and the support of the main players of the financial sector. And the good thing was that those who were directly involved in the project believed in it, and they used their influence to spread the word. Here you can see the structure of the Swiss FS-CSC. As you can see, there are three main bodies. The first is the steering board, which is the governing body of the association. And in the event of a systemic cyber incident, it activates the crisis coordination cell, which coordinates the necessary measures and communication with members and authorities. We then have the operational cybersecurity cell that manages information sharing on relevant events, monitors the situation, and provides sector-specific reports and support in crisis management. And then the third main body is the expert group, which runs a project aimed at enhancing cyber resilience and organized strategic and operational cyber exercises for all members of the association. And then the day of the launch arrived, and on 5th April this year, in this very room, the Swiss Financial Sector Cybersecurity Center was founded, with 79 founding members and the Federal Council Ueli Maurer. In this picture, you can see Mr. Maurer during his speech. Next to him, you can see Florian Schütz. And then the 3 members of the association board, namely Marc Cortesi from Baloise Group, August Benz, the president of the association from the Bankers Association, Alexandra Arni from the Bankers Association, and me. And as with the coronation of Aragorn at the end of The Lord of the Rings, the launch was a success. And since then, the center has been even more successful than we expected. It currently counts over 120 members, including all big banks and insurance companies in Switzerland. And within 5 months, it had reached the financial means we planned it would need for the first year of activity. So we did not only achieve the goal of our project, but we were even more successful than expected. Kind of a happy end after an intense journey that lasted over 3 years. But while The Lord of the Rings has ended, Middle-earth has many more journeys to tell. 10 years ago, the first movie of the Hobbit trilogy was released, and now many of us are waiting for the episode 6 of the Rings of Power. And similarly, the NCSC, for the NCSC, the ending of the Swiss FS-CSC project is also a new beginning. This pioneering project is the first of many we intend to launch to increase the cyber resilience across all critical sectors in Switzerland. We want to collaborate with in further private-public partnerships to create organizations like the Swiss FS-CSC for each critical sector. That could be energy sector, health sector, public transport sector, and so on. And we intend to repurpose what we can from the Swiss FS-CSC project and adapt it to the needs of each sector. So to sum up my presentation, I have 2 take-home messages for you. The first one is cyber is not only about threats, but also about opportunities. If you work in cyber, you have great ideas and a good boss, you can really make a difference. The journey may be hard, Lord of the Ring hard, but keep believing in your ideas and they may become a reality. And my second take-home message is cyber has a great potential of uniting organizations in collaborative solutions. In this project, we had organizations working together that usually do not sit at the same table. I was, for example, told that banks and insurance companies had not worked in cyber before together, but they all agreed that in cyber you need to include everyone, because only when everyone is well prepared and informed, you can successfully fight cyber threats. And now I'm at the end of my presentation. To learn more about the Swiss FS-CSC Association, you can Google it, and you will find more information on its website, or otherwise you can ask me later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. That was really interesting. It's another chance now to ask questions in the Q&A of the Slido. Have a look at it. In the meantime, I'll start to ask you a first question. You mentioned that you're going to start projects in other industries. Do you already have a concrete idea in which industry is going to be the next project?
Yes, we are working now at a preliminary project. It's not a project yet. I hope it will be next year. We intend to build an organization for the International Geneva, so for the international organizations and NGOs based in Switzerland. And I'm working closely with people from the FDFA to this project idea, and we really hope to start a project in this direction next year.
Great. So it's the UN, for example, that would be included. United Nations.
Yeah,
as
it
one
would be
possible.
the idea. Exactly, yes.
Oh, wow. When you started the project, was everybody, even though they were never been together around a table, were they all convinced this is going to be great? Or did you have to help and convince?
So before the start officially started, there were some initiatives where some big players of the financial market were trying to work together on this idea of cyber resilience for the whole sector, but no one wanted to take accountability for a project in this direction. And I think there a big force was my boss, Florian Schütz, who believed it was possible and said, yes, we are going to do that. But yes, at the beginning it was quite hard. I also can see now that we want to start this new project. That now everybody says, oh, wow, so cool what you did for the financial market and so on. But back then it was more like, it will never work. You have no chance of doing that. It sounds good, but no chances that these people will work together. And it was really nice that it did work.
Wow, that's it's really your game. It's really something you
Lord of the Rings. It's not only a metaphor, I'll
quickly look back to Fabio, who's helping me. Are there already any questions?
There are too many to ask them all.
Oh, wow, that's great.
So I will pick the question with the most upvotes. How many actual crises did the center manage so far?
So far, none. I'm happy to say that we were able to build this organization quick enough that it is kind of ready for when a big incident happens. It is also important to note the idea is not that this center makes the job of the organization of the firms. So your bank is still responsible for its cybersecurity. It still has its team with all cyber experts and so on. The idea is really to concentrate on bigger incidents that could have consequences on many players. And thankfully, for the moment, we didn't have that.
There's maybe kind of a follow-up question. Can you give us an example how the association members would work together in case of a major attack against one of them?
Yeah. So I showed you before the three main bodies of the association, and in the steering board sit representatives of all biggest financial organizations. So the biggest banks, biggest insurance organization companies, and also authorities. We also have the Swiss National Bank, the SIX. And there we really say that members should be C-level people that can also take big decisions in their company. And the idea is that then they have a subgroup of representatives in the cyber coordination cell, and that in the case of a cyber incident, they take responsibility to coordinate among all members of the association what to do. In this case, it's over 120 companies. And at the moment in Switzerland, we do not have the legal basis to say who can exactly decide what to do. Like, for example, if all banking automats of Switzerland stop working, you have to decide which one we want to start first. And there is a very big decision because, of course, the banks, if you decide that the UBS machines are started first, it has an advantage against the others. And these are very complicated questions and decisions to make. And the idea is that in the association, people are so close that they would sort out solutions that would work for all. But of course, for the beginning, we have to count on the compliance, voluntary compliance of the members.
Maybe a last one?
How do you exactly support the organizations, for example, with information or analysis?
As I said at the beginning, there are 3 areas where we support most, or the association support most members. So the first is the threat intelligence. There is a platform where all members have a login and they can become in real time information about cyber threats that are relevant for the cybersecurity sector, financial sector. And on the platform, they can also get some suggestion what to do. Like, for example, this attack has to do with your network. Check that in your security system you have this patch, for example. And another point is that we will have kind of guidelines, especially for the small players, small banks, and insurance companies who do not have an in-house cybersecurity team, where they will have like checking lists what to control. Then the association also organizes operational and strategic cyber exercises. These are simulation of real crises, where we already did 2 strategic exercises during the project, and we really had big high participants coming, and it's really about making them reflect how to handle together a crisis and to notice what you have to do in Switzerland and internationally and so on. And then in the expert group is really the idea to network the cyber expert of each organization together to work together at solutions.
Thank you so much. Warm applause for Sophie.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.